the best marketing you can do is just be so diverse about all the sources and the ways. You have to be able to reach people at the right time based on what they're doing, and not everybody is going to be in an event at the right time at the right place. And a lot of people like content, and a lot of people find value from that content first, and then they move through the funnel. So I think you just have to be have a lot of diversification when it comes to your marketing activities.
Oh, yes, this is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. Today's show is sponsored by Ringmaster, on a mission to launch B2B podcasts that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth. Ringmasterlive.com. Bam. Okay, we're doing this. We are so doing this. I've been waiting for this day to come, and we have scheduled around. We've made it happen. So I can't wait to introduce my guest today. She is an absolute badass. She is like in the who's who of CMOs that you want to learn from, you want to work for if you can. Like, this is one of the people to learn to talk to today. So I'm excited. Well, who is she, Casey? Who? Okay, award-winning marketing leader and thought leader, a speaker, a mentor, and just really like a B2B SaaS trailblazer. She is out there, decades of experience in like high growth software in the tech space. And this is not like little growth. This is like, let's go for it, right? Let's shoot for the fences. She's been named one of the top 50 women chief marketing officers of 2025. She's spearheaded growth of businesses from 100 to 500 million in revenue. Like, we're talking big numbers. A team of over 50 marketing professionals at one company. Chief Marketing Officer at Recurly, Lina Tonk. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, that was like a lot. I was like, stop.
I know, right? But like, I feel the same. I feel like you should just stop, because next time we talk, because of course we'll check in, a couple quarters from now, but I'll be like, oh my gosh, you already had too much in your introduction. What else? Stop. You stop. So, well, here, I got to pass you this thing. It's heavy, but man, if you run giant marketing teams, you totally got this. Okay, here you go. Okay, here it is. Go ahead, Lina, grab Thor's hammer. You got it?
I
All
got
right.
it.
Okay. Lina, take Thor's hammer and smash for me some kind of marketing myth, bogus strategy, misconception. Set the record straight once and for all.
Yeah, I think I have a super simple one is do not tell me you have a good marketing strategy if you have not talked to a customer in the last month. And many times, if you have not talked to a customer within the last week, I think that's any strategy, anything that you're putting together for a company. If you're not close to your customers, it means nothing. So when I look back, that has been my biggest learning of them all, and it's a myth. I think it feels simple, but it changes everything.
Right. It feels simple, but thankfully this is not a live studio audience. But if we like forced everyone to raise their hand, if they've talked to a customer in the last month, month, I hope so, but even week. And the answer is probably going to be no from a lot of people. Why do you suppose that is?
I think and I think marketers, we tend to do this, which is one of the things that I probably love marketing or love being in a commercial role. It's like we get those highs. I always compare our roles, CROs, CMOs, we get these highs of the number of what we were able to accomplish. And we're always after that number, getting there and accomplishing. It feels like the greatest reward and high, right? It's like when you're running, people talk of that runner's high. I always get that. But in the midst of getting to that number, getting to that goal, I think we all move so fast, and we are all so willing to do anything in the best way. And I mean this in the most positive way. I think that's what marketing is so cool. And commercials teams to me are just so cool. But in the midst of going that fast, we miss some of the most important signals when we're building a strategy, that it's like who are we building this for? Who are we building this product or this strategy within the product for in software? If it's not for those that we're serving, then we're doing nothing right. So, and I guarantee you with this myth, I can also tell you one thing. Every time you talk to a customer, I have customers that I meet with easily 4 times a year, 5 times a year. Same customer, same person. And you find out something different about them every single time you talk to them. And that could be transformational for your strategy, for your software, for really anything that you're doing. It uncovers all kinds of ideas. Simple as it uncovers campaigns and just some of the smaller strategies that you're going after in marketing.
You know, and in the same if you can get valuable data and learn things from even the same person 5 times, 4 to 5 times a year, once a quarter, and if you have more than one, I mean, it's just like a gold mine out there.
It really is. That's why I always say, like, customers are everything to any company. I mean, this group of people are saying yes to something you're offering, and you, on the other hand, are providing them that value of that need that they have. But they are the gold mine of your growth. Knowing how that customer behaves, knowing because I feel like at times we get distracted with like, let's look at all our targets and all our prospects and our, it's important to know your market size. Be very aware of all that. What is your customer size and everything they do looks like? What do they do? I not long ago I told my team, I'm like, okay, so we're talking about this type of customer. What do they do? Like, do they drink coffee? And they were like, what? And I'm like, no, really. What kind of person are they? I was asking actually about an event. I'm like, should we have dinners or should we have breakfast? And I'm like, are they the kind of people that like to have breakfast or like to have dinner? You know what we uncover? There's a group that likes to have dinner, and depending on where you're in the globe, they really like to have breakfast. So, you gotta think about them. It's the way you build strategy and I think the way you grow.
What's the hard part? I mean, because maybe this continues to talk on, like, why more people don't do this. Is it just are we shy? What's the deal? We're not all shy,
I don't think we're shy. If we're in marketing and you're shy,
right?
I don't think we're shy. I think is we're busy. We live today in a complete different world than we lived years ago. The access we have to information, even marketing information, as tactically or strategic as you might want it. I was telling one of my marketers actually last week, and I'm like, if we put that in ChatGPT, I guarantee you, or Perplexity or Claude, any of them, one of the LLMs, they're going to give you an answer. They're going to give us a high level strategy. How are we going to know if that's going to work? Have we talked to a customer yet? Have we talked about, but have we proved that this is the value that they need to bring? So I think it's the balance of we have access to so much technology, so many answers, and and we keep going because we want to move fast. And when you think of like humans to just you said it at the beginning of this call, we made it happen because just getting on our calendars together. So customers, at least for me, I'm like, I'm gonna go with whatever time works for them and whatever is easier for them. And that sometimes means that we have to fly in and see them. And that you just have to move so it at times it doesn't feel easy, but I'm telling you, it's one of the most rewarding strategies and out there. And I even think that if we were to backtrack years and years ago, we were still not doing this. It's one of the things that I think we all need to learn from on how it can really transform you and your strategy.
Okay, so let's say we're chatting with someone. I mean, I agree with that. And someone is like, "All right, I need to start doing this." What do you recommend? Like, what are the ways they can engage?
So that's the big thing, right? It's kind of like going back to understanding what your customers are like. So I come from a different, but I've always been in SaaS my whole entire career, so always in technology, so I understand the movement of the word moving fast. I'm always been on PE as well, so I'm just must be crazy, I like the pace, I like moving fast. But one of the things I've learned being on complete different industries sometimes the benefits than on HCM. Now today I'm on this very fast moving subscription industry. Um, is that they all behave very differently. All your personas behave very differently. So when I go back and look at HCM, for example, depending actually on the size of the company, your persona will behave very differently. So just starting on that is very important, is understanding what do they do, what do they prefer. So when I look at today, for me, within here, within subscriptions, I learned like a lot of the brands, we work with some of the largest brands in the world, and most of the largest brands in the world are located in some of the bigger cities in the world, right? So I know that if I'm in New York City, I have the ability to likely see 10 customers in 1 week because many of them or some of their peers are going to be there. Similar sometimes to London has the same flavor. San Francisco sometimes has that. I think I learned with time, and I've learned this believe it or not, within the last couple of years, and I could be aggressive enough to say that this, I believe, happened post pandemic. Is people actually appreciate in person much more than you think. I think the pandemic taught us that there's a bunch of ways, like you and I are doing right now, to have access to each other, to tell stories, to provide content, to provide impact without having to see each other in person. But when it comes to a customer, when it comes to a person and being able to give them that time, I do believe that in person changes the game. And I'm not to say that some of our customers actually prefer that we don't do it in person. So there's a good example in New York City. We have some customers that are in the outskirts of New York City. They're like, oh, yeah, no, I don't want to go into the city, too much traffic, too much. I have the others that are actually in the city. They're like, yeah, I love it. I'll have lunch, I'll have dinner, whatever. So you just gotta learn. That just goes down to like learning the behavior of your customers and understanding what they're really like. Um, and then run with that behavior. I have two customers that they only like virtual. So
They're like, "Yeah, please don't come visit."
and they only like Fridays. That's a whole other ballgame too. So like you just learn these things, learn behavior, appreciate the behaviors, and appreciate that they're actually sharing some of those behaviors with you.
And sometimes it's just practical like that or it's their preferences. Yeah, I learned that the other day with New York, right? You're like, "Oh, they're only in Brooklyn. Oh, okay." And you're like, "Oh, but you're in Midtown." And if you haven't done the map, you're like, "Oh, what? Oh, you want me to come visit you? Oh, but then I have a meeting an hour and a half later. This is not gonna like, this is not."
It's not gonna work.
You're like, "How about we do a virtual for that one? But we'll get dinner next time," like, yeah.
But then you'll see a lot of customers that they actually appreciate that, right? Like they're like, hey, I appreciate it for doing it virtual. And the fact that they're making time to meet with you is another thing that I think, we have to appreciate that so much because it might just be a meeting of us just understanding where they are and how they're doing and whatnot, and we're building some of our strategies from it. But being appreciating your customers is it's such a has such a deep meaning. All the way from customers that I'm like, hey, I'll meet one on one with you, but a bunch that are like, hey, I love to represent you in a conference because that's what I want to do for my career. Like it's great. I love to share my story and the success that we've had together. And when you start like understanding some of these customers and your customers start speaking for your brand, it's just that's when the game changes 100%. If I was to look at our brand when I started, so I've been with Recurly about a year and a half. I would say that our brand was a brand that spoke of themselves a lot. Super solid, beyond solid product. One of the coolest products I've ever been exposed to when it comes to SaaS. The ability to be creative with it, but to grow with it and to have possibilities with it. But we didn't kind of allow these customers, or we had not made the connections to allow these customers to speak for us. And now that's something that I think has changed for us. We just, if they want to speak, like we're like, of course, like come to the conference or let's write the article together. Or we just put your voice out there and it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, because that it sounds so much different to everyone else too if someone else is speaking on your behalf.
And we can all say me, 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 me. What does that mean, right? Like, of course.
And maybe they got a t-shirt out of it, but they're not paid actors. Like, that's the difference, right? You see, like, a paid actor on a commercial, you're like, "Okay, I don't think Matthew McConaughey really drives that kind of a car." But, okay. But, like, when you have someone going like, "I love this car," and like,
I love this car. Yeah.
"Yeah, you gotta get one." Like, "Here, check mine out." And you're like, "Okay, it's a different."
What I have learned with time is that those customers that you really have transformed either their roles or their companies through software, right? And experiences and support and services, they are so passionate. Those that want to be, they're so passionate about showing the numbers and speaking on your behalf. We have some that they're like, just let me know when the next one is. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, as a marketer, like, that is a dream to have someone that will just like join you in a panel and you can just ask them the questions and they can share their numbers and their growth and their passion about what they're doing. It's a whole new ballgame. And think about it, it feels old school, it feels traditional, but I think it has we used to do it and we kind of let go of it and now we're all back into it. And I really do believe that the pandemic had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, because we couldn't for a long time.
And the biggest risk that I think, especially that maybe I'm coming from a personal side because I've always been in SaaS and software. So the biggest risk that we have is that we're in the business of software and we can completely forget that that software is servicing and valuing somebody, their role, their career, their brand, their company. And the quickly we understand that, the faster we come out of being um, so automated about our strategies, the way we talk to them, run 3 campaigns a year, the same, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what does that even mean? Yes, change it up. Learn, talk to another customer, listen to what they're saying. They're now saying that this is what they're experiencing. The thing also within my industry, what's really exciting when I selected this industry is that it's a fast growing industry. Obviously, it changes every day. It's fascinating because you and I can really relate to it as subscribers. I believe that everyone at this point has some level of subscription. I was on this interview yesterday with CNBC, and he goes, "Did you know that the average person has more than 5 subscriptions?" I go, I have way more than 5 that I don't even know that I have, but, if you do the math, it's not a household, it's the average person. It's wild, right? But we can all connect to the behaviors, but it's also ever changing and changing so fast. The way we pay is completely different than we used to pay before. Are you still carrying your wallet? No, you are carrying your phone, and that's how you pay. And now the future of subscriptions will look much different than that. So you can relate a lot, but it fast changes. Right now it's like, but it's exciting too, right? And it's humans who are like using subscriptions and creating these behaviors of like give me more. So yeah, I do love subscriptions. It's a lot of fun and I've learned a lot along the way on behaviors because I have a lot of them and some of them are not so great behaviors 2 minute subscriptions.
What a great point you raised, that you have to keep reminding yourself there's a person on the other end of that software that is using it, ideally getting value from it, and ideally solving a problem that they're legitimately having and understand they need help with.
Right. I think that's where I call like the AI era, and I call it like the new era of marketing too, as one of the most fascinating in our times that we have been in front of. Because to me, it's just like such a great opportunity. From my perspective, it's the greatest opportunity to connect in a human level. There's the ability to do things faster through AI, through agents, and that's fantastic. It's getting us to the other end faster. And who are we doing some of that work for? Humans. Who's consuming it? Humans. So I find it all just very fascinating.
Do you have a favorite customer connection event that maybe an in-person one?
So for me, of the ones we do, we do a lot of different ones. So we do panels, we do dinners. I was going to tell you, we're just starting like breakfast in London. They love having breakfast or lunch or tea in London, which makes a lot of sense. Um, but my favorite events, we just had one of these. It was a lunch, long lunch, but so worth it, is when you bring your customers and your prospects to the same event. So, kind of with the same conversation we were just having on, your customers get to speak about you, but also when I look back, I've talked to a bunch of CMOs about this. They're like, so we're running customer events. I used to have a strategy back in the day in my company I was with before. We did road shows. You can call them whatever you want, but it's like meeting customers where they're at, right? But a lot of people had the fear of like, well, if I get a customer that is not happy and then my prospects are there, I'm like, it is fascinating to watch an unhappy customer get help or get the solution that they need to either their problem live in front of a prospect, because there's no better case study than watching a prospect say, oh my gosh, I hear you. You brought me here. Yes, this is a problem that I'm having, or this is what I've been asking for, and I haven't. Let's work it out and let's see how we can fix it for you. So I started doing that a couple of years ago, and on the first one, I was like, "Oh my god, that was fascinating!" And ever since, I never stopped. So those are my favorite events. It's probably a lunch. Normally, I feel like because everything's moving so fast, we filled our dinners like no other. So everybody loves going to dinner and drinks and whatnot. But in our lunch events, I feel like we really get to sit down and talk to people and really get to help them when it's a customer, but even a prospect, understanding where they're really at, what they're really going through, why subscriptions, why today for them, and what is the gap that they're trying to fill. So those are my absolute favorites because I feel like I get all their attention, they get all my attention, and then when you mix the two, magic happens. Now, the best part is you see it in conferences too, but the best part is when a prospect and a customer become friends and that prospect hasn't even signed with you. Um, that's amazing, right? And then your advocate becomes like, they're the ones telling you when the prospect's gonna go sign, and which is crazy. So I don't know that that happens all the time, but when it happens, it's pretty cool. And making those connections at the end of the day, especially in an industry like this, in subscriptions, where everything's moving so fast, where new payments are coming up, no matter in what part of the globe you are and what you have to support. You gotta get those connections together so that they can network and find out, hey, how did you do it? How long did it take you? Did you build it this way? Did you build it the other way? So it's nothing but beneficial to them.
And what's interesting to your point, yeah, sometimes not just they get value from each other just as much, and you're the one that made it happen, and it had nothing to do with the software even,
Yeah.
and you were the connector. So connecting with them is one thing, but what I'm hearing from you is, like, connecting them with each other and maybe you, but with them too, and, oh, man, that is magical, especially if they're marching their friend on over, "Hey, my friend's buying. I'm making sure it's gonna happen."
Yeah, I that serves like the human component, at the end of the day, yeah, a software service that you're providing to them, but the human component, I mean, it's always gonna be there. So how do you make the most out of it for them? And there's a bunch of ways that you can do that.
I'm also hearing that it's not necessarily the most expensive thing that wins. It's the smarter connection-focused thing, because, of course, dinners are great. Who doesn't want to get, $250 steak dinner on someone else's dime? Of course. But, like, even cooler is when you didn't spend 250, 300, 500, and whatever you're going, and they got some real value. They got a connection, a friend out of it.
I think so too. And it's crazy, like, you see it on every level of our events that we do, like the dinners, I mean, you see them come out with these incredible relationships too. Sometimes you just do cocktails, and that seems to people just, like, really like that human connection very much. Now the other side is like, we're moving fast. The world's moving fast. The industry moves fast. So you have to be able to make those adjustments when you need it. And you are going to also find a big part of your prospect group that is not going to be up to ever going to events. That they're never going to be, they just want to get down to business. And how do you make it getting down to business as human as you possibly can? And that's when I think other strategies like direct mail works really well. So we didn't meet in person, but then once we met virtually, I send you something after of something we talked about, and just like kind of connecting that. To me, that's like true real marketing, when someone would remember something you said just simply because you did something for them or you send them something. That's when I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, super long way. Um, what's your number one tip for people who would love to shift toward this, like connecting to the market, not just going to market, but connect to market? What is your most powerful tip, you think, if you're trying to start this kind of a thing?
Start small. Start small. Just test it. Don't go crazy and go build this event budget that is gonna like put you in a weird position with your board or anything like that. Events are can be pricing. You better be showing your ROI, and a lot of times, and this happens to a lot of marketers, CMOs. We always look at that is events also has a multi-touch component. So a lot of times if you're doing marketing right, you would have target them in other ways with your research or podcast or anything, right? And then they get to an event and you possibly didn't generate that lead through that event. So you really cannot attribute it to the event. So you just gotta be very careful on how you're doing that and be super aligned with your CRO. It's critical because I literally was having that conversation with my CRO this morning is we see so much multi-touch in events, and he's told me 1,000 times, well, and I go to most of the events, if not all, it feels like sometimes, but some of the bigger brands that go to our events. So we were on mid-market and enterprise, and some of the enterprise size leads that we're talking to, they are likely we might have not generating out of that event. So, but we will close them out of that event. So we have an agreement. It's just aligning your goals with your CRO has to be so critical. Where he's like, look, I'm simply telling you, if I don't have events next year for enterprise, it's not going to work for me. So then you have an attribution agreement. And that is so critical. But start small, test them out. The biggest strategy you could always look at when you are building something like that is heat map it. Is go heat map where your customers are at, and then go pull another heat map on top of it and put on top of it where your prospects are at. And you're gonna find so much similarity, and then you can get really fun and geeky about, oh, we have a lot of same size. It will make a lot of sense if you look at like the bigger cities or areas. You'll see a lot of like similar sizes. You know, we are a big part of one of the industries that we serve is streaming. So you'll see streaming in very similar areas. So it's it's very exciting to get down to the deep of the data of that, but heat map it so that you can say, I remember when I first did it, this had to be maybe 6 years ago or something like that. And I went and did it, and it was like, we're going to commit to two, and let's see to three, and let's see how it goes. And I'm going to tell you this story. I would go to the first one, and we had three people show up. And I'm like, oh my God, this is such a failure.
Yes.
Like, we suck.
And you were like, "Hey, this might work," telling everybody about it.
Like, this is totally not gonna work. And I had gone all crazy with like, I'm a big, like, like I'm the way I am, like the way I speak, I am about my brand. So energetic and the swag and it was like the event was so put together. Three people. I was like, no, this sucks. And then we made some adjustments, right? So I'm like, if I committed to three, I'm gonna go finish the three. We had put the schedule out there. Number two and number three were incredible. Incredible. What did we do differently? We communicated with them better. We told them what was it that we're going to do from hour to hour so that people will come in and go out, or they had some flexibility. We didn't make it as long. As soon as we made it shorter, then people came. From a strategy of three, I went to, I think, completing that year 65.
Whoa.
So, and that was, a couple of years ago. Today, where I'm at this year, we had committed to about, I want to say, 30 events, and we call them What's Next series. And what they are is they're all different types of events. The ones that I was telling you about, they're all a little bit different. And I think we'll end up the year with over 60. It's really cool. It's as long as you can show the ROI from it.
Hey, what's the most important part on the ROI? I mean, just getting into CRM and making sure you're logging, or is there anything else in particular that
I think that multi-touch is very important. So just being able to have that agreement, because you are going to an event, you're probably someone that have generated through other models, but you are not going to advance them through the funnel or get them into necessarily pipeline unless they would have gone to an event. That's one. And the other ROI that you have to it is customer. So, are you improving your customer sentiment and how they feel about you by going to these events, the knowledge they have of you? And more importantly, are you using these events as an opportunity to upsell, which is like, well, that's a whole other ballgame of opportunity.
100%? There's actually a lot to that then.
Yeah, that one's ginormous. The upselling opportunity is absolutely ginormous. I think you can't do events alone. Like if you were to say, well, what if like I put all my budget on this slide? No, marketing, the best marketing you can do is just be so diverse about all the sources and the ways. You have to be able to reach people at the right time based on what they're doing. And not everybody is going to be in an event at the right time at the right place. And a lot of people like content, and a lot of people find value from that content first, and then they move through the funnel. So I think you just have to have a lot of diversification when it comes to your marketing activities.
And you know what? I'm glad you stuck with it. You said, "Hey, I'm gonna do 3." And that was like a forcing function to make sure you changed it.
But can you imagine? I remember calling my CEO. I was like, oh my God, I have to call him. I don't even know how to tell him.
Like, how'd the event go? Well,
I was like, not so great. But I said, "What? I'm making some changes. Let's see how it goes." So I guess that's another key learning, right? It's like, do not give up and test it out. Now, it's okay to say, because that's what we did 1 year. We had done them for like 3 years, and we're like, okay, it's time to slow it down. We've done this. Let's just change it up and make them smaller or make them this. Where I'm at today here, oh my God, like our customers are asking for events nonstop. Where are you guys back out here? When are you doing this? I'm like, we cannot fulfill events enough within our industry. Just fine.
I feel like you've nailed that. I mean, that's exciting and inspiring for everyone else because, the trend, it just was just like, oh, people would prefer to stay at home, they prefer to be remote. It's like, yeah, not really. It's not what the data shows.
Not anymore. I'm telling you, there's got to be a really good study on events that it is pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. There's got to be a big driver of that. It changed everything. We all closed down and then we open back up. And the content that you provide at these events, depending on when they are and what you're doing, is critical. Yeah, have your customers tell their stories and speak for them, but be very tight on the content you're providing. Your own research. What type of like prospect and customer do you have in an industry like ours that is fast moving and changing and growing? The more industry signals and drivers that I can share with them, the more it impacts them. Like I have some of them that, they just call us and they're like, take me through retention again. Like, why are people concentrating so much on retention? Because they want to talk to their CEO and like, so like, let me show you some of the data. And so like your research reports and being very unique about your research reports is critical. We have about for Recurly alone, we have 3 big research reports a year, but we have a big one and it's the top of the industry right now. And it takes a lot of effort, not only from the Recurly people, but from a lot of people. And we survey over 60 million subscribers on it. And I know the effort that it takes because I see it. I know what it takes from my team. The moment this thing gets published, you can use it all year round, and the impact that that content has in these events or anything for your team is incredible. So that's another key learning is understanding is like, okay, do you need to be building 10 big reports a year? What's really driving the industry? Are you leading the industry in some of these events? And is it helpful to your customers that you're putting this data out there? And like 100%.
Well, my next question for you really is like, who are you? Who are you? How do you know these things? Can you take me back in time, little Lena days? What was it like growing up? Did you know you're going to be like just a marketing thought leader for thought leaders?
Hell no. So absolutely not. So born and raised in South America, in Colombia, in Medellin, Colombia. So born to a corporate, super corporate guy. My dad used to travel all over the world. He was in the glass industry, and I would always look up to him, and I thought it was fascinating that he was always traveling. My mom was one of those incredible at times stay-at-home moms, but she would always find the gig like she would do. Like she was one of those moms that was doing like the Tupperware parties or these parties or whatnot. And as we were growing up, so there's 3 of us, my brother, my sister, and the middle child, probably obviously. Uh, and as I was growing up, I remember telling my dad and my mom actually, and my drive was like, I'm gonna go into communications because I always did really good in school and like anything that had to do with writing or I persuasive with my writing. And then I threw a bomb and told them that I was going into design. And my dad was like, no, you can't do that or advertising or none of that. He's this big corporate guy saying, no, that's not going to work. And I did. So I went into graphic design and I sucked. I was so bad at it. But through school, like through fine arts and everything that you have to do, your writing, One There was one particular time when I realized this is what I want to do is when we will present our work. So it was very hard for me to school once I got to college. You put me to do research writing or even math, anything. I can do it. But put me to design and I was bad, but I had an eye for it. And when it came to presenting my work, I was super good.
Right. Makes total sense.
So that's when I think the early days of like, oh, she knows how to connect with people or sell to people, right? Market to people at the right time with the right words, with the right sentiment. That's when I realized that's when it was for me. So I kind of took it then at the end more into the communication side, when more communication heavy on my classes and what I was doing. But I did a little bit of everything. I did some of my school in South America, which I was very glad I did. I spent some time in Europe. And then, as a true South American family and dad, he called us and he said, I want you to come experience your last year in the US. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that. And he said, then I'm not paying for school. And I'm like, okay, I'll be right there. So I ended up in Toledo, Ohio in the winter.
That is not warm and tropical or yeah, that's in Ohio.
And I was like, I hated the snow, I hated everything, but you know what's really fascinating? Toledo had just opened their first fine arts area within the school. So believe it or and I became fascinated by it. Like Max were a new thing. And I became fascinated by Max and what they could do. So I ended up leaving school and I was of the three of us, I was the one I'm like, I'm not staying in the US. I'm going either back to Colombia or to Europe, and I stayed in the US. I met who's today my husband, 25 years married. And yeah, so two kids, 25 years married, and we've kind of moved all over, mostly the east, up and down. But yeah, that's how my early years started. What was very interesting about my career, and I think like many women do cross this, is I my husband's career took off first, and then I had kids and spent some time with them while I was doing some of my work. So I met this incredible guy who was the president to one of the companies that I worked for years and years ago, and he tells me, and you're gonna find this so funny. So I said, "Hey, I'm moving to Oklahoma." And he's like, oh, shoot, what do we do? And he was like a true president sales guy. And he's like, who's gonna like write my stuff or like put like the one pagers together? I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I have to leave. And, I'm like getting ready to have our second child. And he's like, so how if you like took the computer with you and then send me that? And I'm like, I don't know. Would HR allow that? She's like, just don't tell HR.
Just don't tell him. Wow.
And I'm like, but how do we talk to each other? And he's like, take your phone and then you just dial my extension. And that's how we talk. I'm like, can we do that from home?
That's amazing. By the way, I love that. Don't tell HR. Yeah.
How does like that come full circle when so many people work remote? If you go back, I only work out of an office for 2 years of my career. The length of my career has been, in a way, virtual, but I always travel to all our offices. I'm very in person, so that's kind of like how my career started, and I think he was such an influence in my future because he was very sales revenue driven, and I became fascinated by the commercial side, by how do you really market to people? How do you really get people to buy? And that became fascinating to me. That's when I started tapping into what PE was, and we got purchased and by a PE company, and the pace completely changed. So I always say timing is everything. My kids had grown a little bit and my career started tapping a little bit more. And one of the changes with the PE, they call me one day. They're like, "Hey, our whole marketing team's not here anymore. It's just you. We want you to go build this." And I think the rest from there is history. I don't know if I work in a different setting other than PE. Sometimes I feel like I like the pace. I like what we do for what PEs stand for and who we do it for. I think that part is fascinating. And I also am fascinated by the fact that they invest in companies that they want to grow and they want to grow really fast. And maybe it's the nature of who I am as fast as I am. So a couple of years ago, many I'm sounding now old. My husband's like, "Hey, your career is taking off. You've always put my career first. Let's switch it up a little bit." And we stopped moving. We moved with his career a lot, and he's like, "If you have to travel," and we still say it that way, like, "If you have to pick up the bag and go, go." And that's what we started doing, and then my career took off from there. Yeah, it's fun, and I mean, I enjoy all that, but the when I look back and I think of, okay, what was the legacy? What was it all about? Is when I start seeing I talked to one girl that used to work for me years ago this morning, and she's a she's about to get promoted into this big role, and I'm like, that's what it was about. It's just seeing you see companies grow, but when companies grow, people grow. Their life changes, their kids change. They can afford a house, they can have kids. They That is to me the major reward of doing what I do.
Man, to see them flourishing. Well, I my next question for you is a bit of a hypothetical question. Are you ready for this?
Yes, ready.
Okay. You see, I may or may not have a time machine up here in New Hampshire.
You probably do.
I might. I mean, just saying I might. So next time you have a customer event in Boston, come a little bit more north, get some lobster, get some beer, use the time machine. It's in the backyard, covered in a tarp. Okay. So, but don't tell anyone, just between you and I. So use this time machine, but it's a particular kind of time machine. You get to go visit yourself 4 days after getting that graphic design degree way back when, and you get to talk to that Lena. What do you tell yourself?
Oh my god, that's such a cool question. Um, I think believe in yourself has always been a big one for me. I think um, for women, we experience it sometimes a little bit more than men, but it's like believe that not only that what you do matters, but that you can do it and that you can be badass. So I don't know if this is going to get cut. Bloop.
No, this is a hardcore marketing show. You could say anything you want.
That's what I would tell because back then, you're just still trying to figure out what you can do and you doubt yourself so much. So, like, if I could do it all over again, I would have put a lot of that. I would have put a lot of that aside. Sometimes I tend to think, I talk to my best friend. Sometimes I'm like, I don't take any shit anymore. Like, like I know what I can do. I believe a lot in myself right now. So if I could do it again, that's probably what I would tell them. And understand that you cannot freaking do graphic design. I would have told them. There's people that are very talented and can do it very well.
Now, here's the bonus question to that is, do you think you would listen to yourself?
Yeah, I think so. I hate listening to my voice. Um, but yeah, I mean, okay, if I didn't know me, yes, because I'm like, the biggest thing with me is like, why do we listen to podcasts? And I'm fascinated by podcasts, period. And I listen to all kinds of podcasts. I'm not like I listen to marketing or I listen to crime. I listen to all of it. And if you can learn something out of every episode of whatever you're listening to, totally yes. So if today I taught So one little thing to someone that they learn from, super cool.
So cool. Yeah, and you never know, and the chances are probably yes, and multiple different people, and some you may never meet, but every now and then you'll bump into someone who said, "I heard you on a podcast 12 years ago."
I love it so much. I love it so much. I did have that experience actually, and it ended up being one of my employees later on. And it's just that, to me, legacy is that just seeing that you impacted someone in some way. And it was really cool. They're like, yeah, I remember her. And she was like, I heard you. She heard me at one conference and a women in leadership conference. And she's like, I remember you. And I talked, guess what? About believing in yourself.
Mm.
So there's a theme now that I remember with her, and she's incredible right now. She's somewhere else, doing great things.
Love this, love this. Where do you want people to reach out? If they wanna connect with you, thank you for learning from you, what's a good way to do that?
LinkedIn, Lina Tonk on LinkedIn. I try to do my best to respond to absolutely everyone. I think LinkedIn is one of the coolest platforms. It's there's out there. We get to build relationships with people in our industries that we will never be able to. So yeah, LinkedIn is the best way to do it.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to reach out.
Yes.
Anything. Maybe I can learn something from them too.
100 oh, that's so true, and but for those that do reach out, don't be a weirdo. Say, "Well, hey, I heard you on the podcast," right? So that you're not one of those random spam bots sending things out. Put a message in there, for the love of God, people. Lena, thank you so much for coming on here. Like, the best sign that a podcast is amazing is when you look and an hour has just, we did our own time travel, and it's gone, but it's amazing, and I felt like it was a master class. I have long been a fan of connection and customer connection, and you just the way you shared and your evolution of the events, it wasn't just magic right off the bat, but you stuck with it. You went and you said, "We're gonna do 3," and you did, and I'm so glad you did because now you're here to be able to say, "This is what 65 looks like. This is what 65 events looks like across," and now I'm inspired to do that many events myself, so thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me, and this conversation was amazing. Took me back in time. So well, thank you. Thank you for doing that for me.
Absolutely. And for those listening, if you learned something, and I freaking know you did, because I literally have 2 pages of notes over here, front and back, running out of room, right in the margins, then share this with 1 person, 3 people. 9,000 is cool too. But even 1 person, like Lena and I were talking about, who needs to hear this? Is there someone that just needs to believe in themselves more? Maybe it's you listening, or maybe you're thinking about getting into customer events. Share this with someone, share this with your team so they can learn from Lena here as well. And with that, Lena, thank you again so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right, everyone. This has been another crazy cool, very exciting episode of the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will see you all next time.